You're listening to CFRN, the Christian Financial Radio Network.
Good afternoon, traders, and welcome back to the CFRN E-Mini Futures Cast. This is the daily broadcast of Indeterminate Length, where we discuss all things E-Mini, along with some really big ideas on the finer points of trading gold, bonds, crude, sugar, the euro. Joining us today, Mr. Michael Borth. From our trading desk in Chicago, Mr. Burton Schlichter. Now, to get things started, let's go to our host and founder in Studio A, overlooking South Mountain, America's largest city park. Here's Dwayne.
Good afternoon. Welcome back. Today is Friday, 11th day of March, 2022. Let's see, next week will be the Ides of March. Okay, welcome to the show. Whoever you are, wherever you are, we're just glad to have you right here, right now. If you've joined us via the YouTube channel, we're so glad you did. youtube.com/CFRN. I'm not able to monitor the question box there, but that's okay. You're still welcome to join the show. Anytime you're out of your office, away from your desktop, all you need is an internet-connected browser. Point it to youtube.com/CFRN at 12 noon Eastern every trading day. Not only do we broadcast live on our YouTube channel each day, we also archive each and every daily show. Currently, there's over 19,000 daily live broadcasts archived for your educational and viewing pleasure. That's a lot of shows. Anyway, there's another way you can join the show. And you only have to do this once. And this will give you access to the chat box or the question box so that you can ask questions and participate in the discussion. Go to our homepage at cfrn.net. On the right-hand side of the page, click the big microphone. Follow the instructions. You'll be registered in about 30 seconds, and then you'll never have to register again. You'll have one-click access to the show each and every day. The way it works is right before the show starts, you'll get an email, and in the email is a link. And so when you're ready to join the show, click the link, and it just logs you right in. You don't have to do anything else. Boom. And you have access to the question box so that you can ask questions and participate in the discussion. Our friend Garrett is going to join us today in about 45 minutes. So let's open with a word of prayer. Now, there's so much going on in the world today, and each day we pray for the people of Ukraine and the people of Russia, for the leaders, for the world at large. But what I'm about to say may seem a little harsh, but let me get through it, because I don't want you to think I've gone off my rocker. Every time you turn on the news, radio, TV, open up an internet browser, whatever, there's either somebody trying to sell you something or somebody trying to bum you out. And the way our mind works, it seems that most situations cause us to go to the worst outcome in our minds right away. And that keeps us living in a state of fear, which is one of the enemy's most powerful tools. We're too worried to stand firm in our faith because of our fear. It's difficult, I know. Our emotions are in constant upheaval. Sometimes I find myself taking on the problems, emotions, and fears of others as well, as if they somehow became my own. I'm sure you can relate. As believers, yes, we're supposed to love everyone, even our enemies. We're supposed to be compassionate. We're supposed to care. We're supposed to help. Somehow, the enemy has a way of making me think the issues of people that I don't even know are my own issues too. And they are two separate issues. The struggles of others have now become my own struggles. And this is just how tricky the enemy can be. He plays off others' hurts, stories, and tragedies in order to cause us to stumble in fear. Can I tell you something I need to be reminded of often? God doesn't desire this way of living for us. While He doesn't want His believers oblivious to the world around them and living as if nothing bad is taking place, but He also does not intend for us to take on all the hurts and fears in the world. And for the hard things He does call us to step into, He does want us to take every circumstance and tragedy to Him. He wants us to lay them at the foot of the cross instead of carrying them around with us as if they were our own. In 2 Chronicles 20:17, God calls us to take up our positions, stand firm, and see the deliverance the Lord will give us. It's one of the most basic commands that God gives us, to stand firm. Stand firm in His truth. Stand firm where He positions us. Stand firm when the enemy comes calling for us to fear. As we grow in our relationship with God and in the knowledge of what His Word says, I think we'll begin to see the fertile ground for the enemy can become solid ground for God. When we begin seeking God first, fully and firmly, we'll be quick to recall that others' stories, emotions, and tragedies are not our own. We will see that we need to take those thoughts captive and turn immediately to prayer and surrender our feelings at the foot of the cross. Pray with me. Heavenly Father, we're a blessed people in a blessed land. We thank You for Your many blessings. Thank You for Your holy word. We rejoice that in it we see promise after promise. We are filled with hope because of Your Son, Jesus Christ. We pray today and every day for those facing tragedies, hardships, painful seasons. Lord, as we hand these prayers over to You, may we leave them with You and not take them on as our own. May we stand firmly in Your truth, that You are in charge of our story and You are using us for Your glory. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and just say Happy Friday. I hope it is a happy Friday for you. Wherever you are, we will continue to pray for our brothers and sisters around the world, the ones that are hungry right now, that are cold, that are afraid. But we're going to believe God, the Prince of Peace, to resolve this matter in His way, in His time. Let me give you the numbers from around the world. Start here in the U.S. with the cash markets, or the indices as they're called. The Dow's currently up 35 points. The NASDAQ is down 148. That's over 1%. S&P 500 is down 17. And the Russell 2000 is down 13. In the commodity basket, crude oil up $2.47, trading 108.49 last. That's a gain of about 2.5%. Crude oil, when you're trading futures, when the price changes by $1, that's worth $1,000 per contract traded. Gold is down $8, make that $9.30, trading 1991.10 last. Silver is up 7 cents, trading 26.33 last. And I know we don't normally mention it, but wheat is up 2.5% today. In the Asian markets at the close, the Nikkei dropped 527 points. It's a little over 2%. Shanghai rose 13 points. The Hang Seng fell 336 points, which is a little over 1.5%. In the European markets at the close, FTSE was down 56 points, which is just shy of 1%. The DAX fell 186 points, which is almost 1.5%. I'm sorry, the DAX rose 186 points, and the CAC rose 53, which is almost 1%. And so that gave us a mixed day in Asia, but it was a green day for the UK. And so far, it's a mixed Radio Friday here in the US of A. But the markets split. 3 of the major indices are well into the red, but the Dow has its head above water, 56 points, which it's not a lot. 0.17% to be exact. So with that, if Michael's ready, we'll go and get a recap of what happened this morning in the live training room. After that, I'll come back. We'll take a look at the daily chart. We'll get an idea of the big picture, what we can anticipate Sunday night on the open and next week. Hopefully these markets can calm down just enough so we can go back to our regular schedule of posting alerts. It's so difficult to not put the alerts out because it's been my life now for 186, 187 weeks. I've spent almost every waking hour in front of the computer looking for opportunities. We're up to almost 10,000 Logic 247 alerts. But we've been pretty much on hiatus for the last couple weeks. Not that there is an opportunity, but there's just too much risk required to take advantage of the opportunity. So, Michael, are you there?
Yes.
Okay.
I am here.
He is here. All right, Michael's going to take the screens. He'll give us a recap of what happened in the live training room.
Okay.
And then
I will do that.
When he's done,
right now.
I'll be back.
All right. Here we go.
I got you. Okay.
Great.
It's all
Okay.
yours.
Here we go, guys. Thank you. Thank you, sir. All right. So today is Friday, the 11th day of March, 2022. If you've not taken a free trial with us and you want to take a free trial with us, go here to eminitrainingschool.com. Right here, scroll down to where it says 1 free week trial. First name, email, phone number. Give us all that. Tell us to speak a trading challenge so we can tailor one-on-one training just for you. Once you do that, hit the send button. You'll be sent a confirmation link. You must click on the confirmation link, okay? If you don't click the confirmation link, we don't know that you took the free trial, so make sure you click on that confirmation link, all right? All right, results. Okay, so I went through a lot of training this morning, so the results were still pretty good, but there's a lot of stuff that I missed. But anyway, if you're going to read the spreadsheet, you got to read all the CFTC risk disclosures at the bottom. Today is the 11th day of March, 2022. We made 27 ticks in crude, 64 ticks in gold, and 20 ticks on the ES. Put us at 1160 on the morning session. Today, it took 3 minutes and 3 trades to get to the goal for the day. At that point, we were up $100 a contract, and we took a total of 30 trades. So on the month now, we're at $15,852 a contract. That's over 9 trading days, averaging $1,761 per contract per 2-hour trading day. We've now gone 110 days since our last negative day, and I wanted to see. Okay, we've gone 110 days since our last negative day, and we've gotten a goal for the day on 48 out of 48 days so far this year. That puts us at $51,616 a contract. That is averaging $1,075 per contract per 2-hour trading day. So if you were to quit when you got your goal for the day and you added 1 contract per month, you would have only worked so far just about 7 3/4 hours, 7.73 hours, and you would have averaged $1,501 per contract. I'm sorry, $1,501 per hour. That's what I mean to say. All right, so let's get into it. We were able to trade some crude oil today. Okay, though a lot of the trades ended up being little tiny ones. So I'm just going to start. I'll start with the ES. Okay, I work my way left. Right, I didn't trade the YM at all today. I looked at it for just a couple of seconds, but I didn't trade it at all. Markets were actually they were much calmer today than they have been. I'll just say it like that. Okay, and the crude oil, the spread wasn't bad today. That's why I traded it. It wasn't too bad. Let's see, with the ES, our first trade was right here. We had a break even. Second trade here, another break even. Third trade here. That's where we got our goal for the day. Okay, and our fourth trade was right there. We got another break even. Then we picked up, we picked up 4 ticks there. That put us at 12 ticks overall. A break even there. Then another 4 ticks there to put us at 16. Then a break even there. Now, at some point in here, I started to say I was only going to take the highest probability trade. So there's a lot of trades that triggered that were trendline trades that I didn't take. Okay, I think it was right in here. Or I started to say I was only going to take the next highest probability trade is what I was looking for. And there was a question about this one right here. When it came together, the cycle was more flat when it came together. It didn't go down like that. Okay, and it was this one here. I'm sorry, it wasn't that one back there. It was this one right here. That was like that. That one didn't have step 3. Didn't have a pull away after the cross. So it was this one right here. The cycle was more flat at the time of the down close. It's when it pulled down like this that it dragged the cycle down just a little bit more, made it look better in hindsight. But either way, I didn't trade any more in there until over here. Now, I must have had a highest probability trade set up in some other market. I think probably gold. But we took 4 more ticks here, and that put us at plus 20 on the morning session, and that is where we ended it for the ES. Now, yesterday, I'll go and show you what I said yesterday, because I wasn't really sure what direction it was going to go in yesterday. And today was a lot like yesterday. I'm just looking for the highest probability trades during the break. There was one right here, bounce off the BBC, and that was it. So we'll go to yesterday. Now, yesterday I was saying, okay, it was all messed up right in here because we had everything all junky right here. And I didn't know if it was going to go up or go down. I said, if it's going to go up, it should go up to this level. If it's going to go down, it should go down to this level. It took it a while, but it eventually got up to that level. And that was actually even today. It wasn't even yesterday. And so today it was doing the same thing. It was all messed around in here. And I was saying, okay, I don't know if it's going to go up or down, but if it goes up, it should go up to this level. And if it goes down, it should go down to this level. Yesterday, we were at a retracement point where I had to make a decision one way or the other. And today's the same thing. We're at a retracement point where I had to make a decision. So it looks like right now it's going to try to get down to here. Now, if that does go down to there, then gold should go up to here. Okay, that's what we should see happen. But what does happen, we'll see. Crude oil was a little better today. I mean, if you look at it, there's not a whole bunch of gaps in the DOM, and the spreads, commonly around 1 tick, 1 or 2 ticks, which is a little easier to trade with. Your limit orders don't get slipped so much. There were a ton of trades that were setting up, but I only took a few of them, and we'll get into them right here. Here was one for 2 ticks right there. So I guess when I got the goal for the day, I think I got this right after I got the goal for the day. So I was at plus 120 at that point, but I got 2 ticks there. Then I had this go all the way down there and all the way back up here, and I think I got 2 ticks out of that to get me to plus 4. Then I had a break even, and over here it went all the way down here and all the way back up there, and I only got 5 ticks out of that to get me to plus 9. Then finally I got a decent trade, 10 ticks to get me to plus 19. Then I stopped out, put me back down to plus 11. Then I don't know what happened right there. I stopped out there and put me back down to plus 11 and trying to find the next trade. I was looking for the highest probability trade in here to happen. Okay, and this wasn't it. It must have happened on the gold when I got the highest probability trade, but we ended up with a break even there. So we went from 11 to 12 somewhere. And then from 12, we went to 27. So we had a 15 tick trade somewhere coming up in here. This must have been the 15 tick trade right there to get us to 27. And I think that was the last trade I took in crude. It's not the last trade that set up. Everything was still bouncing around really fast, but the DOM was a little better to trade with today. As far as highest probability trades go, there was one right here. During the break, let's see. Highest probability trades only. Almost one right there. Almost, not quite. Almost one there, not quite. Right here was one. Right here it was one. Nope, that was a one. Sorry, that's not one. This was one right here. This, nope, that's not it. Right here was one. That wasn't. It was really close to hitting the BBC, but it didn't. The slingshot was messed up, so that wasn't one. This one would have been okay right here. And that looks like about it. Possibly this one right here. No, the cycle was wrong on that. I mean, the MA1 was wrong on that. But so crude was kind of tradable today. I mean, it was really crazy still, but it was a little bit tradable. A little bit. Look in the question box. There are no questions yet. So let me do gold. Gold is where we had the majority of the trades today, and this is where we got our goal for the day, I believe. On the gold. Maybe it wasn't gold. Oh, it was the ES where we got our goal for the day. Okay, so gold. We started out here with 2 ticks. Then we had 2 more. That put us at plus 4. Then I missed a trade. We had a break even. Then another break even. Then a plus 12 to get me to 16. A break even, a plus 13 to get me to 29. Again, I was looking for highest probability trades in here, and I'm not sure. Here was one right here. This was the highest probability trade right here. And that got us from 29 to 34, so I got 5 ticks on that. 1 tick on this, a break even there, 1 tick on that to get me to 35. And then I went from 35 to 43, so I had an 8 tick trade right there to 43. And it was the highest probability trade right there. Another one right there. And on this one, went from 43 to 50, so I had 7 ticks there. Then 50 to 59. I missed that one, and I grabbed this one. I went from 50 to 59, so I had 9 ticks there, and I had one last trade over here for 5 ticks. They got me to 64. That was where we ended the morning session, at 64. Now, if I go through all of this, we had a highest probability trade right there for the short. Nope, not there. I guess you could have taken this one for the long right there. Yeah, that was it. There weren't that many of them today. And there was that one period there for like 15 or 20 minutes where I was only going to take the next highest probability trade, and we only got one. It ended up being a 5-tick win, but nevertheless, it was a win. All right, so if you're going to read the spreadsheet, you got to read all the CFTC risk disclosures down at the bottom. Today is the 11th day of March, 2022, Friday. We made 27 ticks in crude, 64 ticks in gold, and 20 ticks on the ES. Put us at 1160 on the morning session today. It took 3 minutes and 3 trades to get to the goal for the day. That point was $100 a contract, and I took a total of 30 trades this morning. So on a month now, I'm at $15,852 a contract. That's over 9 trading days, averaging $1,761 per contract per 2-hour trading day. Now gone 110 days since our last negative day, and we've gotten our goal on 48 out of 48 days. Okay. On the year now, we're at $51,616 a contract. That's over 48 days, averaging $1,075 per contract per 2-hour trading day. If you were to quit when you got your goal for the day and add 1 contract per month, you would have worked a total of 7.73 hours so far this year, averaging $1,501 per hour. Okay. Now, if you've not taken the free trial and you want to, go here to eminitrainingschool.com, and right here, 1-week free trial. All we ask for is your first name, your email, and your phone number. You can tell us the biggest trading challenge so we can tailor one-on-one training just for you. Hit the send button and you'll be sent a confirmation link. You must click on the confirmation link. Okay, if you don't click that link, we don't know that you took the free trial, so click on that link. All right. All right. That is it, guys. With that, we can pass it back out to fabulous Phoenix, Arizona, in Studio A, overlooking South Mountain, America's largest city park. Dwayne, if you are ready.
Yes, I am ready.
Excellent.
I'm ready to go buy a new mouse.
All right, I have 2 of them, just in case.
Oh, okay.
I have one wireless.
I
It's my backup.
I bet there's 20 around this house somewhere.
I have 2 plugged into the computer right now. I have 1 wireless and 1 wired. In case my wired one gets stuck or stops working right, I have a wireless one right next to it that I can pick up.
Yeah, I think what happened is I pulled on my cord one day or something, and
Yeah,
got kind of like a little short in it or something. I don't know.
and if you
Anywho,
spill something, then you get that kind of a mess. And yeah, I know.
I keep all liquids. I have this huge. I have like this boat in my office for a desk. I don't know what I was thinking. And now I'm too old to get it back down the stairs. So I brought this thing up here in 2006. I was a young man. I would give this desk. It's a really nice desk. I would give it to someone who would just come and haul it away. I don't need much, you know. I just need
one of those streamlined ones like I have for Jada that's got the little electric thing, so it goes up and down, you know, so you can change the height if you want to stand, if you want to sit.
Well, I stand all the time. It's so weird. You guys, those of you that have been around a while, remember years ago when I announced that I was gonna start standing, and it took a couple weeks to get adjusted to it. But now, it's like if I sit down to try to do some work, my brain doesn't engage. I find myself just instinctively standing up, and that sets the wheels spinning. Yeah, it's weird. We're such creatures of habit.
We are definitely creatures of habit.
So let me ask you this. A recap of the recap.
Today, 3 minutes, 3 trades, $100 a contract.
Good job.
Thank you.
Good job. Anything else exciting happened this morning? Anything I might have
Uh,
missed? We got Fed.
no,
We got
nothing.
the Fed next week, right?
Wednesday. Yep, Wednesday.
If they
Nothing big
raise a
happening.
half a point, guys, and you have a $300,000 mortgage, your mortgage payment's going to go up about $100.
Yes.
Unless you have a
Unless you
fixed
have
rate, of course.
fixed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
Now, my thinking is beyond that. I mean, we've seen this incredible surge in housing prices, but part of that, a large part of that, is because money has been practically free from a historical perspective. So, as interest rates go up, people will be able to borrow less. So, I'm not predicting a housing crash, but this bull run in home prices, I think it's going to stall out a bit.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. I mean, you got to think about there's, just because the house prices are going up doesn't mean people building the houses are making any more money. Everything
Oh
costs so
no,
much more.
because they're paying. Yeah, yeah. I
That's
got
why
a
that's why the
brother-in-law in
prices are going
construction.
up. Yeah. So what is, sadly, if it starts going downhill and people don't start buying the houses that are already built, then all these companies are going to start going under. They're going to have to start lowballing these houses to get them sold, and they'll probably be selling stuff at a loss. And so, at that point, I don't know, it'd be the time to be buying houses, I would think. Not now. Now's the time to be selling them. But
There's
I don't
not
know.
a day goes by that I don't get multiple emails and at least one piece of physical mail in my mailbox saying, I will buy your house right now, cash, no questions asked. You don't got to fix anything. You don't got to paint anything. You don't even got to vacuum. I'll just come
Yeah,
over.
there's a house in my neighborhood. A couple of weeks ago, they had a sign outside that said sale coming, and then like 2 days later, they had a sign outside that said sale pending. I don't even know when it was actually up for sale in between those two. So, and I don't know if I didn't see anything about an open house there or anything like that. Like, normally you'd have an open house like one day or maybe one weekend do an open house. And I know the family, the mom's pregnant with her third boy, and they've already bought another house. So, I'm sure they're pretty eager to get out of it. And I know they're asking pretty much top dollar in our neighborhood.
Well, the brother-in-law, who's an executive in construction, his wife is a realtor. She just closed a deal last week, $800,000, and it wasn't. I mean, it's a very nice house, but it's by no means a mansion. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So, what is the average? Let me Google this. Average U.S. home price. Average home price in the United States. Want to take a guess?
I have no idea.
Oh,
None.
that's 2021. Let's see if we can get numbers for 2022. Home prices in 2022 are 12% higher than this time in 2021. Let's see if I click it, if it gives me an actual figure.
I'm going with 425,000.
425. That's your guess, Val?
Yes.
425.
Unless I can phone a friend.
Yeah, that's not allowed. It's not allowed. You don't get a lifeline.
I find my mouse again. Okay, that article did not spill the beans.
Michael R. put in his guess.
Home prices set to soar 12% in 2022, says a top forecaster. In the face of rising interest rates, I guess anything can happen. Well, normally, my friend the internet knows everything. 2022. Oh, I think I see some prices here. Did I hit a paywall? Figures. Home prices up 15.4% in January from a year ago. Let me try clicking on this one. Okay, this was published February 18th of 2022. That's pretty current. The median price for a home last month was $350,300, up 15.4% from a year ago. According to the National Association of Realtors, it was not the highest median price on record, which was $362,800 last June, but it is the highest for the month of January, which tends to be a sleepier time for home sales. Well, I know that every time I turn down one of these offers, they send me back a higher offer. Then it goes on to say homes priced at $500,000 and below are disappearing, while supply has risen at the higher price range. Such increases will continue to shift the mix of buyers towards high-income consumers and push out first-time home buyers. I mean, in Phoenix, two-bedroom apartment will run you $1,000. If you want to rent a two-bedroom house, you're looking at $1,700 to $2,000. Anyway. Okay. Michael R., he guessed 390,000.
Now said 425.
Well, I'll just say this: the offers that have been coming to me, that steady stream over the last year, the offer has increased by $100,000. And trust me, I don't live in a mansion. In fact, what was once a very nice neighborhood, because of our property management company not doing their job, I feel like it's urban decay on the way. I'd love to just take one of those cash offers and go live in the desert. And
I thought you were going to say the beach. I thought you wanted to go to the beach.
I do, but I do want to go. But my wife's not on board. Her family's here, and we gotta get Emily back in school. Little D's coming from Kampala. He'll be here in June. He's going to do his senior year of high school in the United States. So, a lot of things keeping us in place for a while to come. So yeah, he's really pumped. He was born in the U.S., so he has dual citizenship. He's got a U.S. passport and a Uganda passport. Man, time flies. I remember the day I held him the day he was born in the room at St. Joseph Hospital here in Phoenix. The whole thing was he's my godson. He has my first name. He has my middle name. But it was all orchestrated. I know some people think that's not cool, but anyway, we did it. It was orchestrated that we timed the trip so that she would give birth here. Yeah.
Interesting.
And his plans are to take over his dad's ministry. Someday run the church, run the orphanage. I don't know if that's changed. I don't talk to him every day, but we'll see what his thoughts are. He's really good at soccer. But most of the schools around here, he's been going to sort of a upscale, proper British type school in Kampala. By the grace of God, we were able to arrange for that to happen. And to throw him into the mix with some of the ruffians at the high school over here where my son went, It's going to be tough. I'd rather put him in a school that focuses on math and science and computers, but he wants to play soccer. He's really, really good at it. No doubt he would shine here. But we'll see. He'll be here in June. School starts, I guess, into July, 1st of August. When we were kids, you got 3 months off, June, July, August, then you went back in September. But it's all changed.
It's not like that anymore.
Yeah. Jack M says California's median home price is forecasted to rise 5.2% to $834,400 in 2022. So not much money left to buy sunblock. LOL. All right. Garrett's going to be here in a minute. So let me bring up the daily chart of the S&P. And look at the major head fake. I shared this morning in the Telegram channel. Last night, guys, this is where the market opened. We opened at 42.58. Then we ran up to 43.35. We dropped to 42.32. But this is the all-time historic high. This is the most recent significant low. And so pull back to the BBC, rejected once. Pull back to the BBC, rejected twice. Pull back to the BBC, rejected thrice. Pull back to the BBC, rejected the 4th time. Price pull back to the BBC, rejected the 5th time. And now the title of today's show, S&P Emini rejected for the 6th time at the daily BBC and the trend line. Now on this move, we spiked the BBC. Here we spiked it and actually closed above it, but then the next day just quickly reversed right back under it. So we've already traded through red and falling. And so 42.22 is where the daily step line is. Now, I drew in this window of opportunity on yesterday's show. So if we take out the low of yesterday, which was 42.07, when we talked about this window of opportunity last night, we called it 4,200 down to 41.60. So that's a 40-point window of opportunity. But we got a break. Yesterday's low, 42.07. So the top of the window is officially 4,200. Now, I mean, well, number one, anything can happen. The market can turn around. But if this support fails, then look to yesterday's low, and then look to the low of March 9th. This is Friday. This is Thursday. This is Wednesday. This is Tuesday. So there's definitely some opportunity. And if this thing starts to pick up steam as we head into the close, I mean, the market did a nice rally yesterday into the close, but it still closed with a red body right at the 24% reverse fib. And so we've spiked that 24% reverse fib, touched the BBC, touched the trend line, but we're building a red candle. If we go to the 30-minute chart, I did not put out any alerts at all last night. I discussed that in the discussion group. Our next area to anticipate support based on the 30-minute chart will be the weekly trading zone at 4227/28. We got a bearish crossover head. As we look left, we can see that the current support, if you look at the horizontal line on the cursor, it's kind of right there. And then if we get through that zone, we've got this support. And then the next zone down is at 4125. Now, this is potential support. We have a bullish cross that led to an extended move that has not been tested yet. Whenever there's a bullish or bearish cross that leads to an extended move, the first time price comes back to retest that area, in the case of a bullish cross, it will most likely be good support, at least good enough for a bounce. So we would have to take out this area and this area to get here. But with current volatility, I mean, it literally could happen today. That would be a 100-point drop from where we are right now just to get down to this support. So the S&P opened last night. We made the run higher. This is what you just saw on the daily chart. Market actually opened right here. This was the opening candle. Resistance at the zone. Pull back to the BBC. Got below the BBC. But buyers weren't ready to give up. So they set us back up to the zone. We got to pull back to the BBC. And then we made this majestic run right up to the weekly trading zone. Remember, the zones are published every Monday morning for our members at 6:15 a.m. Eastern. We've published them since December 14th of 2009. And so this resistance, this potential resistance, was given to our members Monday morning, 6:15 a.m. Eastern. And because of the volatility, we've spiked the zones a lot, but we hit the zone and we reversed. And that spike, there's a bearish cross that led to an extended move. When price first revisited that area, there it goes. Let me look in the chat box and see, or in the attendee box to see if Garrett's here yet. I think he comes in with a hot mic. Okay. All right, that's the S&P. Here's the Dow. Hang on one second. I think Garrett's having some issue getting logged in, so he'll keep trying. All right, we ran up to the weekly zone. We spiked it. Now this candle was at 6 a.m. Eastern this morning. So from zone to zone. Now it looks like we're headed back to the zone. Remember, the Dow was the only one in the green at the top of the show when I gave you the numbers. Let's see if that's still the case. Looks like it is. The Dow is still positive, cash market on the session by 31 points. NASDAQ down 158, S&P 500 down 19, and the Russell 2000 down 17, almost 1%. So, market's pretty heavy. We could have a turnaround. We could have a rally. But with all going on in world politics and stuff, can't imagine too many people wanting to go into the weekend long. We'll see how the market behaves as we get closer to the close. All right, here's the Russell.
Hi, Dwayne.
Hey, just the guy I was talking about.
Uh-oh.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So
Yeah, I have.
right here,
have some-
this was our 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Maybe I miscounted it. I call the show the 6th rejection, but looks like there's actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Actually, this is the 7th. Maybe I'll have to go back and edit that. But anyway, it looked for a moment like the market was going to try to turn around, but our primary indicator, the BBC, the green line, bull bear cross, bullish above it, bearish below it. We've gotten rejected at the BBC since we put in the all-time historic high on January 4th. Leg and a retracement, leg and a retracement, leg and a retracement, a leg and a retracement. Now we're just waiting for price to get below this area, this number right here, 42.23. And then we've got a window of opportunity from 4,200 down to 41.60. So there's 40 points right there. But we got to take out yesterday's low. Yesterday's low was 42.07. So now, you're the guest, so let's have you do the talking. And I can send, are you ready for me to send the screen over to you?
Sure.
Okay.
Sure. Can you? Am I coming through okay? I have some new earbuds on.
You sound absolutely fine.
Good. Good.
And is that what you're using? You're just using like Apple earbuds?
Well, I had Apple, and I wound up giving them to my wife, and I went out and bought something. I think they're called Togo or Tozo, and they're way less expensive than the Apple, but they seem to fit in my ear better and don't fall out. And if you can hear me okay, then
Oh yeah.
they're
No,
so far
I hear you. I hear you great. Yeah. No, you sound
yeah,
fine.
so far so good. So yeah, and it's nice. Otherwise I have to have a headset on, and I thought I'm just kind of trying this and acclimating and seeing what it's like. So so far so good. Let's see. Can you see my screen?
I do. Observations. It's funny. I just mentioned the Ides of March when I said, welcome to the show. It's the 11th day of March. Oh, next week's the Ides of March.
Yeah, and there you go. It's like we're on the same wavelength there, huh?
Yeah. What the Ides
Anyway,
of March? What happened on that day? Somebody gets stabbed in the back.
Julius Caesar was assassinated
Okay.
44 BC on the Ides of March, which I believe is the 74th calendar day in the Roman calendar, which comes out to March 15th. And it's funny how everybody thinks of October as a if you wanted to pick a month, for the stock market, October would come to the minds of many because, the market in a lot of cases has bottomed in October and also topped like in 2007. But the other month that seems to get a lot of fairly major turns is March. And it's interesting, I guess, because of the annual cyclicality of the market. Basically, you buy in November and sell in May and go away. And it just seems that we're, everybody thinks that the bottom usually happens in October, but it's, it also rallies because it's a bottom month. It also rallies. So it's, not necessarily the worst month as a lot of people think. But anyway, I've used this Beware the Ides of March before, at least as the title. I don't know if I used that picture. But yeah, that's Caesar at the Senate and it's I find it appropriate in a lot of ways because conspiracy theory. Gosh, if you listen to the TV, it's conspiracy theory. So if you talk or even think of that, then you probably need to have a aluminum foil hat on and you're a cuckoo bird. At least if you listen to the news, that's what they want you to think, and that's how they are programming us. Clearly, Mr. Caesar would probably be, and by the way, a gentleman who presided over an empire. And whether we're the great American empire or not, we used to be. And isn't it interesting? Caesar would tell you, yeah, there's conspiracy. And it's not a theory. I can tell you that it's not a theory. So anyway, I just thought that was kind of interesting. I can kind of go through this because I just did it. That's my I started out with a memorial to my friend Wrigley, who passed away on over here, 2/22/2022, 2/22/22. And if you add that up, it's a 10. And I thought Wrigley was a 10. He was.
I'm very sorry for your loss.
Yeah, he was the one that nobody in the family ever got mad at.
Right. Right.
They've been mad at me and been mad at my wife, and we've been mad at our daughter on occasion, but Wrigley was always the one, and he was always here with me on every one of these shows.
What was it that was it just age, or was it some specific thing?
Yeah, it was age, and he'd been slowing down as happens when you get older. And
did he have trouble? Did he have trouble getting up onto his feet?
He did, and part of it was you can see, if he's on a rug, it would be a lot easier because
gosh, my neighbor has a Shiba Inu. My wife, my neighbor works, and so my wife takes her dog for a walk every day. I took him for a walk for years. He's a picture perfect Shiba Inu, and he's just gotten old. She took him to the vet, and he said, "Oh, there's some urinary tract infection." But like when I go over to the house, to the neighbor's house to see him, it's like his feet, he can't get traction on the hardwood floor.
Yeah, you know what I did? I went and bought a rug. I mean, you can go down to, I thought this is not right to cause my dog to go through this. He was 120 pounds. I got him down to 96 pounds. That helps. And the other thing that I did, and what you might suggest I changed his diet to because he was having some of the dry food, and he's a lab, so they eat anything. I give him carrots, I give him cucumbers, who probably eat concrete, So, but I got or try, but I got him good quality packaged dog food, and it made a difference. And I've been giving him, the multivitamins, adult multivitamins at Costco.
Mm-hmm.
I give him 3 of those, and I chew them into thirds and put them in his food. So if they're a big capsule, he might spit them out.
Right.
And that brought him right around and
Really?
popped him up on his feet and all sorts of things. I remember when we, at one point in my childhood, after having a great dog, we got this other dog that was a Cocker Spaniel, which never was like my other dog. But anyway, his hindquarters had gone out, and my father started giving him, I don't know if you recall, they probably still have them, but they were called One a Day. They were a little red pill, and he would, the dog's name was Sparky, and he said, "Sparky, here's your, I can't remember what he called it, here's your treat," and so he'd give him that vitamin, and I believe the next morning, his hindquarters had gone out. He was pulling himself around on his front 2 legs. The next morning, after giving him that vitamin, he was up on his feet again. So it's a nutritional thing most of the time.
Well,
Yeah.
my neighbor's dog Bear, he it's an age-related thing with him too. He may have the urinary tract infection that the vet gave him some kind of antibiotic for, but bottom of the line, it's age.
Yeah, and it's amazing what she can do for age. I brought him back a couple of times with the food. I was giving him the vitamins, gave him good food. If we had leftover stuff, good leftovers, stuff that I would readily eat,
Mm-hmm.
So I just really, really made a very, very conscious effort to make sure that he had good stuff. And then I watched him to make sure that, it was work. So it worked out really, really nicely. And he just slowed down at the end there on Saturday. On the Saturday, he died on a Tuesday. He kind of was laying down. I thought, oh, that might be it. And then, he was fine. He popped back very nicely on Sunday, and Monday night my daughter came down, and she had a little, one of those foam mattresses, and
Mm-hmm.
put a sheet on it, and she kind of slept with him on the floor, which was nice because we could tell that he was really slowing down. I came in and spelled her at about 5 a.m, and at about 7, I could see that, how when people are passing, sometimes they reported this and so forth, but you can notice that very close to death, they sometimes are looking around. And I think what happens when they're looking around is that they're seeing other entities that are there for them. And people have reported on that. And we're sitting there, and the dog's quiet, and I'm talking to him talking him through it, telling him, gee, you're going to get a new body. It's going to be cool. Don't worry. And anyway, I could see him all of a sudden start looking around, and I thought, oh wow, this is really true, because he's pretty alert, and even of course he was checking out here. But I saw him looking around. There's nothing in the room. And I thought, oh boy, he's starting to see, whoever it is that you see.
Whatever's behind the veil.
Yeah, whatever they send for you. And at any rate, I was talking about that impediment. For some reason, out of the blue, I went, Om, the Om sound.
Mm-hmm.
And my wife was there, probably wondering what the heck was wrong with me. But I don't know where that came from. And boy, the moment I did that, it calmed him down. His breathing came down. He got very, very calm, and then laid his head into my chest and passed. And I don't know what I don't know what the heck happened there, but I hope somebody does that for me. I should write it down and do it. But it was remarkable and awfully sad. But anyway, I don't mean to be taking so much time.
Well, again, from all of us, sorry for your loss. I know he was.
Yeah,
he was more than a dog. He was a friend.
Yeah, he was that. He was that one friend who was always glad to see me, and was there. So anyway, I just had written down some things from past observations on this chart, and on one of them at this point, I can't remember what that was. Probably if I blew it up, it'll probably tell me. But November 4th, I said, I don't have a cell signal yet, but that could change very soon. I wasn't talking about this or this. I was thinking about more of a bigger picture. Mm-hmm. And then I had done my long-term work, and I said, I have a late December, early January window for the next top. Mm-hmm. And that was, late December, early January, and there was the top. So that's, it's nice when they pay attention, huh?
Yeah. Right.
But so anyway, and then there was a couple of other things here talking at this point, saying that although we'd made like a 50% or 618 retracement at this point, rather than looking like it was going to go up to a new high. It looked like it was going to go down. So I mentioned that. And then it came up here, and I think I made the comparison with 1929 and 1987 and the full moons and so forth. And I said, well, if we're following that, we've got a full moon right here, and we should get a pretty sharp decline. So we got, 6 days down. This didn't stay down. This went deeper on the 6th day, but it closed slightly above the time before. So, and then that takes us down here, and what the heck's going on? And your thing was very interesting to.
Yeah, guys, the chart that you just showed, the chart that Garrett just showed, that's the cash market. Those are the prices I quote you at the top of each show. When I say the cash market, the indices, that's different from the S&P 500 E-mini. I mean, it's very similar. The charts are very similar, but the cash index doesn't print overnight. When the stock market closes at 4 p.m. Eastern, this chart stops, and it doesn't pick up again until the next morning at 9:30 a.m. Eastern, whereas our daily chart tracks the overnight movement as well.
Yeah, I have a chart coming up a little later that's like this, which is your bar chart, and then I have a line on close chart, which is again, neither one of them go overnight. But it's interesting the difference that happens on occasion. I was talking about the current stock market, and I said even though we've had this correction here, which I think was 12.6% from here to here, I think that was the drawdown. Even with that, historically, and this goes back 70 years, you have the Buffett indicator showing overvaluation, and here we are, and here is the dot-com bubble overvaluation as it compared with that time. So we're even with the correction that we've had, we're still, if anything, overbought. And then of course this is the Lyndon Johnson era, the Great Society, which is the result of massive spending, being the reserve currency for the world, and going at that time engaging on empire building like crazy. So anyway, but that's what that looks like. The other stuff that I brought out, this is, I said, well, let's just take a look at going back 20 years, and this is a chart that I always liked, because you've got 2000 here, which if you were looking at the NASDAQ chart and you were back in 2000, it would have just looked like a rocket ship up to, like this. And there it is.
You've got a double top there in 2007.
Yeah, and a double bottom also in 2002 and 2009. And this was the millennial situation. And following the millennial, you had two serious deep recessions in the first decade, which is pretty rare. And then we came back with this, and what I found interesting is just in classic trend line drawing, from this low to this first real correction in 2011, you draw this line, you come pretty close to this low. This one overshot it, but there you were. And then if you parallel it off this secondary high, which was in September of 2000, right up to the top. So it's, sometimes if you draw your trends right, it'll let you know when you're getting close to when the market might be wanting to make a turn. This goes back to 1929, 1932. And the only point that I'm showing here is that these charts would say, hey, it's still a bull market. You haven't done anything yet. I think that we topped there. Obviously, we did top there, but I think that may be the long wave cycle top. It may not be, but I think it's wise to play it as it is until proven otherwise. down here, this is just taking a look at that entire long wave from 1932. The Dow Jones Industrials were at 40 here, which is absolutely crazy. I mean, we're, you know, pushing 1,000 times that. I mean, not really 1,000 yet, but you know, when you get up to the big numbers up here, that's what we'd be looking at. So my point here is that typically if it's the end of the long wave cycle, lots of things follow. None of them that are a lot of fun. Depression, war, socialism instead of, you know, democracy. Stuff like that. And when you look at what's going on, you know, we've got a major element of the country that wants socialism, which is kind of remarkable when you've got so many people crossing our border who are trying to, nobody told them that, hey, you're not avoiding socialism, you're coming to it. But maybe that'll turn them around. But, you know, people just aren't paying attention to what's going on. But the good news is
they're leaving a dictatorship to come to a dictatorship.
Exactly. Yeah, it's like, what's the point? And the point is easy. They say, this one's paying us. Oh, good point. I said, don't count on that. Don't count on that continuing, particularly when if the so-called depression comes. The good news here so far, though, is we're still way up here. And it certainly doesn't look anything like a bear market if you look at this chart. Anything but. But that's the good news. Sometimes it makes sense to take a look at the advanced decline line because it covers all the stocks on the New York Stock Exchange. And maybe it tells you a different story than what the market might be telling you at the moment. But what's happened here is that in November, we went up and touched the line earlier. This line is not meaningful, and neither is this one. They're not part of the chart. I just drew them in as kind of definitive channel lines from this low in 2016, and they're based off the topping line here. But it's a pretty good channel, and we've remained within that channel virtually the whole time, with minor and very short-term exceptions. But we went from being up here in November, and now we're down at the bottom of this. So this implies one or two things. We're going to find support here and move up. Maybe the situation with Russia and Ukraine is going to come to some kind of a conclusion, and that'll be bullish. Or maybe not, and maybe we break this. And if that's the case, look out below. The title of this next section is "The Bear Market Has Already Happened." And I noticed some stuff that's really, I think, very concerning. And some of the examples of that, and there's many, I just picked a few randomly. Roku, which is a pretty good company. I mentioned here, the stock was...
that was my first streaming device that before the smart TV, Roku, was like a little hockey puck. Do you have a Roku device? Now you can get TVs that are Roku enabled.
Yeah, I have a Roku enabled TV, but I want to talk to you about that because I'm thinking, our cable bills are crazy, and the only thing I really care about is the internet for, research and charting and stuff like that. The TV, you can do other stuff. I have a friend who's just about to use something that it's going to allow him to pop off. So I'm going to see how that works out. But Roku was a hot stock, and it was, I think, close to $500 and down at about 100 now. So you've got an 80% loss of value in 7 months. And what I was pointing out, and by the way, here is PayPal, which is another good company. And PayPal had about a 70% loss in about the same period of time. And you think, boy, what the heck is going on?
And
70 and 80%.
what period of time is this?
That's 7 months.
Okay, the last 7 months up to
Yeah,
today.
on
Okay.
these. And
Okay.
so yeah, both of these are 7 months. And 80 and 70%. I mean, those are 50%. Most bear markets,
Sure.
1974, 2007, they're 50%, maybe 60%. Sure, if you have a dot-com bubble and you're talking about the NASDAQ 100 peak to valley, that was 83.5%. So that's a big deal. But that was a big deal. And that took 2.5 years to happen. And this is less than a quarter of the time. So it's like, that shouldn't be happening. I mean, the stock market, as we just saw, yeah, we're down a little bit. But if you look at it and set back and put some time on it, we're near the top.
Right.
And why would you have with good companies 80 and 70% declines in 7 months? And then with companies that we maybe don't know as well, but I just happen to be looking at, I just used these other two. This first one is Upstart Holdings. And it was a hot stock going up to whatever that was, $400. And it lost over 81% in just over 3 months. I mean, this is October. This is insane. It really brings up the question, what the heck is going on? Why is this happening? And we're supposed to, you hear in the news, gee, the economy's great. Of course, that brings up the whole basis of what I was writing about, which I'll hit in just a minute. And here is another one. This one is AQB. I think they raise salmon. It's a food company, and I think they do it pretty efficiently. It's like, how in the world can that be down? And that's down 90%. It was coming off, I can't remember what it is, 13 here to $1. And frankly, I went back in time and it was at 30. So you go from 30 to $1. It's just, it's something that, excuse me, begs a lot of questions. So I find it interesting. I was talking
Amazon's doing a 20 to 1 stock split, I think. Isn't it Amazon? Hang on, I'll tell you.
Did Amazon do that?
I think they announced that they're going to. I'm just looking for.
Oh, wow.
I got it right here in front of me. Hang on. Amazon announces 20 for 1 stock split and a $10 billion buyback.
Boy, isn't that interesting? Well,
that stock's never. I don't think that stock has ever split before.
It doesn't seem like it. And isn't it interesting? Part of the, it looks to me like there's a major battle going on, and I'll touch on that. I guess I should run through this a little more quickly, but
no, we're in no rush.
Oh, okay. I just covered here that, let's see, the S&P has a peak to valley decline. Okay, 14.5%. I was wrong. The 12.5 was the Dow, and the NASDAQ was 22%. That cut so far peak to valley decline, with the NASDAQ leading. Here's the charts I was going to show you. This is the S&P. Sometimes, I mean, for me, sometimes there's pretty clean Elliott wave counts, and sometimes I look at them and I go, gee, I don't have a clue of what's going on. I have no idea. This I pointed out because the differences are subtle. This is the closing price connected by a line. Mm-hmm. This is the daily price activity, open, high, low, close. And so it looks pretty much identical. I mean, you're coming down, you've got these two peaks here, you come out there. However, there's one big difference. You note that the last low here is the lowest low, and over here it's not. So, and there's a couple of other differences too, because if I can, this is Elliott wave 1, 2, 3, A, B, C, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Wave 1, A, B, C. Okay, or A, B. So that's pretty cool. A guy that's a Elliott wave student would go, hey, wait a minute. How come wave 4 is higher than wave 1? That's not supposed to, based on Elliott wave rules, that shouldn't be the case. And frankly, if that happens over here and you look at this on the smaller scale, this the wave 4 here is higher than the wave 1 over here too. So for extreme Elliott students, that may not be a problem. They'll say, oh, this is a diagonal and don't worry about it and so forth. But for me, I thought, why don't we take out the emotional swings during the day, just look at the closing prices and see if anything different happens. Well, it topped a day earlier. That was where the highest close was. Again, you're 1, 2, and you've got a very clean 1, 2, broken down third wave, which they're supposed to do. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for this wave 3. You've got a clean ABC for wave 4, and you've got a 1, 2, 3 ABC 4, 5 down. And by the way, it's nice because 4 is lower than 1 here, and 4 is lower than 1 over here. And the only thing that's different is that you just made your low, which would imply that if this is correct, that you'd get an A, B, C for a wave 2 somewhere, and then you'd be into a big wave 3 down. And here, the difference is that A has started, B has started, and it looks like we're in C. So this pattern, if it's correct, would end sooner. And this one would seem to have a little bit more time on the upside, which is...
Michael Lard just confirmed in the audience that Amazon has never split since its IPO.
Yeah, that
and so
based on their price.
There's going to be a whole new
wave of
buying,
young buyers, huh?
Of buyers, right? Because
sure, they're going to put that price within reach.
Yeah, it's going to make it affordable to people who typically, felt it was too expensive.
Here's kind of what, and that's again one of the things of the elite. If they are to win this battle, one of the things that I read many decades ago was that in the end, there will be just a handful of corporations that will supply all your needs. And Amazon has been the first to kind of show
I foresee Amazon Bank, Amazon Hospital, Amazon gas station, Amazon grocery store. I mean,
And President Bezos and so forth. So no, that's not going to happen.
I was listening to a podcast yesterday. It's actually pretty good. There's only 2 episodes that have come out yet. I'm trying to remember the name of it. But anyway, Amazon went through some very difficult times and almost went under a couple times.
So did Tesla.
So did Tesla.
Yeah. So it's interesting. The real point is if we had a true republic, I don't think that they would have allowed a monopoly. There's clearly a monopoly that put a lot of people out of business. But again, things change as time goes on. So let me see what. I'm sorry. On this here, what I wanted to point out. That's great. What I wanted to point out here is that this is the weekly chart. And if you kind of stand back and look at the big picture, this is the 2020 low, the 2020 high when everything in the country seemed to be great. but you've got this rising wedge pattern and the break of the rising wedge. And this is the sell signal that I had on the weekly. And it's on a weekly chart, it's still very much in play. The indicators are, the line's down sharply here. You're down at the 0 level. This is the kind of place where they say crashes happen from lows, not highs. This is where something like that could happen. I'm going to comment a little bit about Russia down here. This is kind of, I go into the Ides of March here. It says the Ides of March refers to March 15th. It is the 74th day of the Roman calendar, the day that that Julius Caesar was assassinated. And it's interesting, a seer, you probably remember this, had prophesied Caesar's death and warned him as he was walking past the seer on his way to the Senate. She had said, beware the Ides of March. And when he walked by, he said hi. He says, hey, no problem. And I can't remember what her response was, but something along like, you know, it's not over. The day is not over. And lo and behold, you know, she was apparently correct.
So tomorrow is when I thought Russia was already disconnected from SWIFT, but apparently our administration has to telegraph every signal before they do anything. So disconnected from SWIFT.
Yeah, they will be disconnected on Saturday, specifically, and this is interesting. There's a lot of stuff going on here, and we'll never get it in our news. They never tell us. They tell us what they want us to hear, and most of it isn't true. And we're going to find that out. I mean, we found it out. It's been there for us, but people like who was it in Nazi Germany? Goebbels said, if you tell people a lie long enough, it'll become the truth. And our news media is literally consistently lies to us. You know, we got lied to about the Russian dossier. We got lied to about COVID. And we've been lied to about Putin. And isn't it interesting?
Your reference up there to the 11th today being 0 day. Can you explain that?
Yeah. That is on the 12th of March, Russia will be disconnected from SWIFT. But on the 11th, Russia has told their companies and corporations and everybody within Russia to be prepared and have everything native, everything within Russia's borders. Now, remember what Russia did. Remember what this is truly about. This isn't about, you know, we're told, oh, horrible Russia's going in and taking the nice Ukrainian people and doing all this stuff that they're doing. Now, they were showing bombing a week ago. And it was kind of interesting that there was bombing and, oh, look what Russia's doing. However, the picture that they showed happened to be of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. So it wasn't even Ukraine, but they were telling you that on TV. They were showing, there was a whole bunch of things, but one of them, they were showing a woman, look at these Ukrainian women with their rifles. They're going to fight for their country.
Right.
It's a toy rifle. It's a toy rifle. They got 2 guys over Ukrainians. They're wooden guns. It's like, come on.
Well,
you know, I mean,
okay. I'm confused. So are we saying this isn't really happening, or?
No, I don't. From my perspective, I would say I have no idea. And if I want to find out, the last place I should go is my TV. And we've talked about this a little bit, but we've got to wake up as a nation. What we ought to be angry about, if we want to be angry, and by the way, our news wants to make us angry. Let's First of all, they select the news. There's a whole bunch of stuff they aren't telling us. So they're selectively telling us what they want us to know. Talk about propaganda. This defines it. Again, you go back 60 years, we were warned by Eisenhower and JFK, military-industrial complex, secret societies that happened to run both, but they couldn't come out and tell the public and freak people out because people would have panicked, and other people told them at the same time. Benjamin Friedman laid the whole thing out, very clearly. People didn't listen. There's all sorts of stuff. The fall of the cabal. There's many, many things. Stop world control. There's some wonderful sites that come out and show these lies. We know that. It's lie after lie on TV. Benghazi was a lie. They didn't do that. All sorts of things with Hillary Clinton. Pick one. Pick your favorite one. The Russian dossier, a lie, but it was on TV for years. And what was the point there? The news media, first of all, is going to lie to you, and then they're going to inject an emotion, just like Tony Robbins. If you want to have things work out, set a goal and apply emotion to it. So they're following the Tony Robbins pattern in a negative way. What was the emotion on Trump? Anger, right? Whenever Trump's on TV, they're going to tell you a story of, he did this Russian dossier. Not true, but what happened? Well, we're angry at him.
Well, I saw a video. I saw a video on. I guess it had to be on Fox because I just can't watch any of the other stuff. But I'll tell you where I get my news now. In Telegram, if you search Ukraine now and select the English channel, you kind of get some live man in the street reporting, people with their cell phones and whatnot. You can really get an idea of what's happening on the ground there. And there's no censoring. It's just what people post. But anyway, I saw him hand a guy on this video, I guess an AR-15. And the person doing the interview says, "Do you know how to use it?" And the guy goes, "No, I've never shot a gun in my life." And so the interviewer goes, so what are you going to do? He said, "I'm going to go home and I'm going to Google and try to figure out how to use this thing so that I can try to protect my home, my family, etc." So your comment about the woman with the video with the rifle, it was a toy gun or a wooden gun, who would perpetuate that and for what reason?
Oh, they didn't perpetuate it. Our news media was showing that these people are arming themselves and they're the poor people. But remember, there's so much more that we're not told about Ukraine in that situation. Remember, Ukraine used to be Russia, number one.
Right.
When Russia got weak, we went in and did our empire building.
And that's Putin's master plan, is to put the USSR back together again. Right?
Well, and he's got every right to do that. But again, what he's doing in Ukraine has nothing to do with that. Remember, by the way, the 11th day, to answer your question, is the 0 day. They're going to, that's when, Russia wants everything internally. But let's take a look at it in a bigger picture. What is the biggest... Ukraine-Russia situation is certainly not the biggest fear on the planet. In many ways, if we were people who minded our own business, it wouldn't bother us at all. There's atrocities happening all over the world, all over the place. This is maybe one of them, if it's even true. But again, we've got a news media that lies to us. That's something. Why? Why would our news media lie to us? Why would our politicians, a woman who wanted to be president, being a known liar, and creating and paying money for a Russian dossier that's a complete lie, it's been proven. Why is, and more importantly, look what's going on here. What's the biggest concern on the planet right now? Is it Ukraine? Well, if you're Ukrainian, maybe. But otherwise, no. The biggest concern on the planet is very, very obvious to anybody who's paying attention, and it's never, ever mentioned on any radio or TV news channel. Well, maybe on the radio. What is that problem? Well, it's Klaus Schwab. And if you don't know who Klaus Schwab is, if you're not intimately familiar with what his plan is, then anything that you say is probably not really connected to anything. That's the number one thing that's going on, and the thing that we were warned 61 years ago by both a Republican president in Eisenhower and a Democrat president in JFK, was that they weren't really in charge. And now 60 years later, the goal of these people, which I read about 50 years ago, is world domination. And Klaus Schwab and his meetings in Davos, Switzerland, year after year, are bringing this to fruition. It's just about there. That's what COVID's about. That's what the Ukraine is about. The thing that we all should be concerned about is world domination by this small group of people who've controlled the United States for a long time and made us an empire builder. I don't think the American people wanted to go out and build empires and control everybody else. I certainly don't. I liked Europe when it was Europe, and the countries were all, unique and individual. So, that's what's really going on. The stuff that they warned us 61 years ago is now in our face right now. And if this is the end times in jumping to another area of spirituality, if it is, it certainly seems to be shaping up that way. That's what we need to be concerned about. What did Jesus do? Jesus threw the banksters out of the temple, didn't he?
Mm-hmm.
That's exactly what he did. What did Putin do? He threw the banksters out of Russia. When's the last time Russia aggressively went after anybody in their whole history? Most of the time, things have been coming their way. You had 66, we hear about the 6 million Jews in the Holocaust, but nobody mentions about the 66 million Christians that died in the Bolshevik Revolution, which was against the Russian people. They weren't, it's all the news that we don't get. The other thing is, if anybody remembers the Cuban Missile Crisis, back in those days, Russia was wanting to come in with Cuba and put ICBMs, intercontinental ballistic missiles, in Cuba.
Bay of Pigs.
Yeah, exactly. And JFK says, no, wait a minute. No. We may have this, Cold War going on, but you don't put stuff this close to America. Those missiles can reach us right away, and you don't do that. Now, this will create a war. So what did they do? They took them out. Now, who was right? Was JFK right? Of course he was right. He was protecting his country. He's 100% right. Now let's stop being Americans and land on planet Earth from another planet and take a look at what's going on. Is Putin starting any wars with anybody? No. Has he been at wars with anybody? No. Was he the one pulling out of Afghanistan and leaving all his military equipment there? No. Oh, that was us. Sorry. No. Does Putin have 800 external military bases? No, we do. Who's the warmonger on this planet? Putin or us? I mean,
we're not attacking people,
aren't we? What happened with all those? What happened in Iraq? They didn't have weapons of mass destruction, and somebody held up a little vial on your lying TV and said, "Oh, this is biological warfare."
So, do you support? Are you saying you support Putin and his actions?
No, but who knows what his actions are? Do we know this are his actions? My TV just showed me something that was from Israel and Palestine and said it was from Ukraine. It showed me women with rifles that were toy rifles and two guys with wooden rifles and a bunch more stuff. And we get the Hillary Clinton lies and we get this. So I don't know. I have no idea. But I'll tell you one thing. Take a look at what, and go back and take a look at the history of the Ukraine. I'll send you some stuff on that. Where did the Nazis from Germany go when they left Germany? They went to the Ukraine. There's a Nazi element in Ukraine. The people that have been attacked in the Ukraine for years now have been the Russian people living there by these other people. Who controls the Ukraine? Is it a free country over there? No, it's an American puppet. And that's my point with JFK and Cuba. Here's Putin. Take a look at his address that he gave to the Federation. He goes, we've had NATO troops on our border for years. Why? Why are troops on his border? How would we feel if we had China's troops on the Mexican border and the Canadian border? Not very comfortable, right? How should Putin feel with NATO troops? Why are NATO troops on his border long before this situation? Why were they on his border? He wasn't doing anything. Let me tell you why, I think. Putin kicked the banksters out of Russia. They're not there. What happened in the Ukraine? United States went in to the Ukraine, created their elections. You Google Biden CFR. He's bragging to the Council on Foreign Relations, boasting about, by the way, what was happening there? They had a prosecutor who had found information on Hunter Biden, and he was going to expose it. And Biden was over there and said, I want you to have that prosecutor fired. They said, well, we can't do that. And they said, oh, well, we're going to give you $1 billion in aid, but I guess not. I'll give you 6 hours to let me know what you want to do. What do you think they did? They fired the guy. So, I mean, again, who controls the Ukraine? United States does. And again, think of yourself.
Well, now where did you get that information? What you just said? Did you not get that from the TV?
Google it right now. No, it is. You can watch Biden saying it at the Council of Foreign Relations.
I've seen him say it. But again, I mean,
what does that tell you? It tells you who's pretty much in control of the leadership of the Ukraine. You want some money? Do it our way. Where'd Zelensky come from? Like I say, why are we listening to our news media when it lies to us all the time and we know it does? It taught us to hate Trump. To be angry with Trump or hate him. Why? He didn't do anything wrong. Matter of fact, as we look back now, the guy had closed the border, had oil for us. The country was in good shape. There was full employment and so forth. But they needed to have something that they deal us a fear issue consistently all the time. What's the fear issue that we had? Oh, it's COVID. So the emotion that they elicit from Trump is anger, COVID is fear, and Putin is hate. Again, Putin wasn't on our border, was he? Not at all. We, in the form of NATO, were on his border. Why? Is that right or wrong? Why were we on his border? Isn't he doing just what JFK would have done? Why is it any different? And by the way, where is America on Ukraine? It's worse than the JFK situation, isn't it? The JFK situation, at least there was a body of water between Cuba and the United States. With the Ukraine, a United States-run country is right on his border. And what are they doing? Why is he there? He's trying to eliminate and demilitarize the Nazi portion of the Ukraine, and he's trying to take out the bioweapons that are put in there by us, frankly. And that's what he's trying to do. And I think that's going to come out. Are we going to get it in our news? Of course not. Does our news talk about Klaus Schwab, the greatest threat on the planet? Does Fox talk about it? No, they don't. Fox doesn't talk about it. Fox doesn't talk about, the reality of the situation with Putin. They put a narrative out there. They put it out day after day. They say that all these things are happening. Gee, we're bombing babies and bombing hospitals. And for all we know, they've got, they're not hospitals, they're warehouses or something else. They've been, remember the situation, the Boston Marathon and the thing that went off there?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they showed false things there of people having their legs blown off and stuff like that. They had, we have people that actually are, I like to say, they come out and that show up at these various things that they've shown the same people. They showed that a lot of that was fake. So it's, at this point, I think what you're going to see, what's this all about? It gets back to banking and control and freedom. Don't get caught up in the minutiae. The big picture is the same. Yeah, I think President Eisenhower and President JFK were back in the days when presidents didn't lie to us. Certainly not as much. And they told us what was going on. It's still what's going on. And again, even on a spiritual basis, haven't we been told that, the ultimate battle between good and evil is going on, and evil's a lot smarter than good. Good people just mind their own business and go their own way. Evil people seek control, consistently, and that's kind of what's been going on. But one of the things that I think is going to happen here, Dwayne, and what I think is good about this is that, did you ever read any of Edgar Casey's work?
Yeah, I'm very familiar with Edgar Casey.
Look it up. He was a great clairvoyant. I was very impressed by him and on some of his health things and all sorts of stuff that he did. What did he say? He said that it would be Russia that would lead the world to freedom, not the United States. So I think we've got to keep an open mind. By the way, Putin kicked the evil banksters out of Russia to protect his people.
Who are these banksters?
Well, you know who they are, right?
No, I'm asking.
The Rothschild family, the Rockefellers, the Khazarian mafia. Again, the same people they've been warned about for 60 years. It doesn't come across our, why does the Rothschild family have more money than any country on the planet and no debt? How did that happen? But for people, like I say, none of this is on our news. If we listen to our news, we're getting pushed in the wrong direction by lies, and the history of those lies. It's you could write a book about them, one right after the other. It's by these people again who two presidents, a Republican and a Democrat, told us about 60 years ago.
How does communism lead the world to freedom?
I don't understand the question. How does communism lead the world to freedom?
Well, it says Russia would lead the world to freedom.
Russia would lead the world to freedom.
Yeah. Is Putin not a communist?
I don't think so. Not in the Marxist sense of communism. I'll tell you I'll tell you where the communists, these people. And I don't want to talk too much about this on the radio and so forth. I mean, people are going to become aware or not. I don't want to I really don't want to get that involved in it, because people should do their own research. And by now, like I say, and like they've said throughout history, people like to be lied to. The American populace in general, and this includes highly intelligent people, they have a tendency to believe everything they hear except the truth. You come out and tell them the truth about these things, since it's never been in the
Well,
news.
it's in the Bible that men will love to hear things that tickle their ears. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
that's
you
old
know,
news. That's
but
old truth.
but there's so much information there. Stop World Control is a great site. You know, there's so much out there, but it takes, I think I said in here somewhere, right here. I said the evidence on this has been obvious and overwhelming, yet it is never mentioned in our news media for obvious reasons. So those who do not research in this area don't have a clue. And their trusty TV makes them feel like they know something and provides them with strong opinions fueled with anger. Anger, fear, and hate. Anger against Trump, fear of COVID, and hate for Putin. Get it? This was laid out for us by many people over the past 6 days, and more for the true researcher. However, effort and desire were required. These two requirements result in a limited amount of people with truth and knowledge. And in other words, if people sit there and listen to their TV, and that's what everybody does. I mean, after dinner, let's go see the news. And my wife's got the news on, you know, all day. I said, well, why are you listening to that? These are the same people that,
Your question
you know.
is someone on our border intimidating us. Our border's being overrun.
Why? Why would our, there's another question. Why would our border be overrun? If our president took his oath of office and loved his country as much as Putin loves his country, Putin's border isn't being overrun, is it? China's border isn't being overrun. North Korea's border isn't being overrun. Canada's border isn't being overrun. Our border is. Why?
Because we're allowing it to happen.
Absolutely. Why? Why are we allowing it to happen?
So there'll be more Democratic voters in the U.S.
And who's to say all these people are going to vote? It's not just Democrat voters. Remember, they told us 50 years ago when I read this thing, they're going to break down, there's two bastions of freedom on the planet at that time, 50 years ago. What are they? Europe and the United States. All right? Europe and the United States. That's what they're going to have to overcome. How do they do it? And I said, fat chance. Boy, was I wrong. Of course, I picked up on it over the years, but they were going to do it via debt and immigration if necessary. Well, they've done it via debt, and they needed immigration in Europe, didn't they? So they brought all those people in, masses of them. What did they do? They disrupted the countries, and they further put them into debt, and they increased the crime, and they divided them. What's happening in America? Exactly the same thing. Nothing different. Debt, open the border. Whether they vote Democrat or not, they don't care. Doesn't matter. If they do vote, they probably will vote Democrat, but they don't care. It's not about that. It's about breaking down the country, and they told us this, we didn't listen. And now it's happening right in front of our face, and oh gosh, you know, it's Mr. Putin's fault. Oh, don't worry, Kamala Harris just went over to Europe. She's going to take care of it. What does she do there? Same thing she does here. Giggle like an idiot and embarrass the United States. You know, what I think is going to happen here with the SWIFT thing, Dwayne, and I think this is important because I think it's going to bring the truth out at some point. I mean, we've got to hope for that, don't we? In the battle of good and evil, isn't good supposed to win? I think that's what we got to believe. Ultimately. But we can't just sit back, can we, and expect that to happen? I mean, You know, like Paul Revere's going, the British are coming, the British are coming. And if everybody said, I don't believe that. My British TV channel says that's not true. I think I'll just have a beer. Fortunately, that didn't happen. But now it's different. Here's what I think is going to happen. The SWIFT situation is a big move against Russia. You know, and they tell us what the reason is, which is not true. Again, if this doesn't have the guys that I mentioned involved in it, then we're not thinking right. What's going to happen is I will bet you down the road, not too far in the future, that Russia and China and maybe a few other nations that would surprise you will come out with a new monetary system. Their monetary system will be different than ours. It won't be run by criminal banksters, and it will have a currency that's going to be backed by gold and or other assets. Russia and China both have been doing a lot of buying of gold in the last few years. I think they're going to come out with a new monetary system, and I think this is what's causing these people who have had fiat currency, which means by decree, okay? What does that mean? It means because I said so. That's a fiat currency, backed by nothing. Oh, this currency is good. Why? Because I said so. That's why. And that's what we're believing, right? A verbal that, don't worry, this is good. There's nothing behind it. They've removed everything. So I think you're going to see in the not too distant future a new system that's a lot more honest and backed, and a currency that's backed as opposed to one that's backed by nothing. And I think that's what's going on with this war in the Ukraine, with this move against, really a move against Putin. They've been on his border. That's what this is all about. Forget, Ukraine. He's the only one right now that's pushing back against him. You know who else pushed back against him? John F. Kennedy. Remember what happened to him? Was he a bad guy? He got rid of the Federal Reserve. He didn't get rid of them, but he took their ability to print our money away and gave it to the Treasury. Ron Paul's written a book to do the same thing. Lots of people have done it. But when they control the media and they control the politicians and they control the celebrities that we listen to on TV and they control the medical industry and they change the education system and they keep telling you the same thing over and over, guess what? We all believe it, and none of us, or very few of us, do our homework to find anything different, for the simple reason that most people wouldn't even know where to start. But there's tons of information out there. However, we've got a great deal of censorship, and it's being removed all the time. So we better hope that there's a God out there, because it doesn't look like we've got the ability or the desire to save ourselves. But I hope that's not true. Anyway, I think there's a lot more to this thing than we're being led on to. And the people that have been in control love war. They pulled us into World War II. Hitler had given an out to Great Britain. And he didn't want war any more than anybody else. But they pulled America into it. And I've given links and stuff like this as to where people can check this out and cross-check it and listen to it. And, the bottom line is nobody seems to care. We just care about what our TV tells us to care about. And there'll be something new. They deal us a crisis all the time. Why do they do that? Well, because it creates fear, doesn't it? And what's fear? It's one of the great tools that people who like to control you like to use. It's certainly not something that's utilized in a free society. And our freedom has been systematically removed over the years to a point that it's significantly less than it was when we were kids. So anyway, I think there's going to be, I hope there's a lot that comes out in this situation. Nobody wants innocent people to get hurt, but you know, we'll see what happens here. But I'd ask people to think about that. You know, for JFK, the situation, it's virtually an identical analog or comparison. It's about as close a comparison as you can get, and somehow we look at it without thinking. We say, well, JFK, he was a good guy, he did a good thing, and Putin's a real bad guy. And my comment is, they did the same thing. How's one good and one bad? Other than we're being told that that's the case, and we listen to what we're told because it's been pretty much of a habit. So anyway, I hope that I hope that the reality is that we're not being. I think we're going to find that much of what we're being told is not close to the truth, and I'm holding out that good is going to win out over evil, and I think we've got this type of situation that goes on with this news where they pound it every day, and with I'll try to find that thing where they were saying that that the news media was busted by showing that, oh, look at this bombing that's happening in the Ukraine, and they're showing you a picture that in reality is from the Israel-Palestinian conflict. So I think the question we have to ask is, wait a minute, let's forget about Russia and Ukraine. Let's talk about America for a change, because that's where we happen to be. Why are we being lied to and shown pictures of something that's not true? And why don't we get somebody asking that question on TV? And my answer on that is good luck. How are you going to get them on? Because Fox won't do that. Fox isn't going to pull that out. So anyway.
Well, I believe the many videos that I've seen shot by people in the streets of the Ukraine.
How do you know who they were? How do you know who they were shot by? Is the TV saying that this was shot by people there? That's my point.
You got a guy standing there holding his cell phone and he's filming. I mean, yeah, I don't think this is some big sleight of hand trick that Ukraine hasn't really been invaded and that Ukraine really hasn't been bombed. I'm sorry, I don't believe that.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying that they have to be invaded. It's an American puppet country on the border of Putin that's creating biological weapons in labs there. It's like
the one in China.
Again, like the one in China.
Okay.
And why would they do that? To use against Russia. Why would they do it against Russia? Well, because Russia, once again, kicked out the central bankers that run the world, frankly. Russia was saying, no, we don't want that with our people. JFK said the same thing in America. Both of those are factual. That's the truth. Nobody's standing there with that's flat out truth. Doesn't need somebody with a, you should see that thing that they, the documentary or information on the Boston thing and the fake people that were there. Oh, look at these people. Hey, listen, I saw the video. Those people were on the ground. That explosion happened. That guy's legs were blown off. You can see him right there. They went through that whole thing. Said, here's the actor. They've used this guy before. I mean, nobody, like I say, I shouldn't even discuss this. We've.
Fair enough.
We were 60 years ago, we were believing everything, and they were trying to tell us then. And 60 years later, it's 10 times more, you know. But again, the concern is we're all up in arms about that. The real concern is completely losing the freedom in this country. You know, that's our concern. And check that out. Check that out on the Edgar Casey with respect to Russia. You know, he had a pretty good track record, didn't he?
He did.
Yeah. So you know, we'll see. It's just you know, we're in that. I think we're in. You know, you're probably a better student of that than me, but it certainly looks like we're in the end times. And one of the things about the end times was that things would appear upside down. And boy, that more than anything else seems to be what's going on. I'm not talking about Ukraine and Russia. I'm just talking about the world that we've lived in for the last certainly decade or more. Things have really gotten upside down, you know. And you know, and you can start with God. You know, this used to be a nation that was under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all, right?
That's right.
Are we under God anymore? Here and there we are. Indivisible, doesn't look like it. Looks pretty divisible. Hey, I got to look at your chart there, Dwayne.
Well, God bless America.
Yeah.
Everybody's entitled to their opinion. Land of the free, home of the brave. Thanks for joining us, Garrett. We appreciate it.
Hey, good to talk with you, Dwayne.
All right. Have a good day.
You too.
Bye-bye. All right, guys, that's going to wrap it up for this Friday. You can take that with a grain of salt.
Remember this, there is no greater return on investment than to see a human life changed and given hope. As always, pray hard and trade safe. Any financial information discussed on this show is simply the opinion of our host, Dwayne Reeves, his co-hosts, and guests. To learn more about trading E-mini futures or to take a 1-week free trial in our live trading room, call 1-866-928-3310. 866-928-3310. Information discussed on this radio program should not be construed as a recommendation to buy or sell any security. Always do your own due diligence and consult with a licensed securities broker or financial planner before making any investment decision.